Welcome to Monday Morning Critic Podcast. Here is Derek Thomas.
Jimmy Morris, well on his way to another World Series title.
15 years ago,
You got your shot at baseball. You got hurt.
Jimmy Morris put his dreams aside.
Coach?
Counselor, don't report that, Esther.
I never do.
But sometimes,
Hey, Coach, you want to throw? I'll throw a couple.
Yeah, Dad, bring the heat.
when you least expect it,
Oh, my God!
dreams come back to life.
I threw today.
How hard?
Pretty hard.
Anybody want to tell me how we lost that game?
You quit out there.
I'm talking about having dreams. You don't have dreams, you don't have anything. You're the one who should be wanting something more. Last time I checked, scouts aren't looking for high school science teachers.
We start winning, you try out again.
You serious?
Yeah.
All right.
To the district champion, ours. Now it's your turn, Coach.
It started as a simple bet.
I promised to try out. It was this thing to get the kids to start playing.
It became the most incredible true story
Rule number one is armor slow down when they get old.
in baseball history. From the studio that brought you Remember the Titans,
We've got an 8-year-old boy who waited all day in the rain to see his daddy try to do something that nobody believed he could do. Now, what are we telling him if you don't try now?
this spring,
You bringing some kids besides your own?
I'm here for me.
For you. Jimmy, come on, you're up.
Just a second.
I'm not doing it.
Don't hurt yourself.
his dream was impossible.
You the old guy?
I'm the old guy.
How fast were you throwing 15 years ago?
85, 86.
You just threw 98 miles an hour.
No.
But his journey was extraordinary.
To Coach Jimmy Morris, the man who taught us about wanting something more.
Dennis Quaid,
Do you know how many guys can throw the ball 98 miles an hour?
Yes.
Not many.
the rookie.
Jimmy Morris's story is one for the ages, so much so that Disney made his life into a movie in 2002 called The Rookie, and his most recent book, Dreammakers, comes out June 23rd. He is back for extra innings. Jim Morris, so glad to have you back on the show.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you for having me.
So, I gotta say, man, I'm gonna start this off with a compliment. I'm gonna kiss your behind. So, I've been looking at your playing days, and we all know the great story. It's so uplifting and phenomenal. We'll get to that. How are you in better shape now? I mean, you are in phenomenal shape. I mean, are you a guy that's always active? Because most people, as they get older, they put the pounds on. I'm raising my hand for those that can't see. But I try to exercise. I try to run. I try to get it off. What is your secret? Because you are getting more fit by the year.
You know, battled chronic illness for a long time. And the more people say I can't do something, the more it makes me want to do something. And so we've worked out. And I'll tell you what, these last 5 months have been a time for me to reset and retool and get ready for something new, because we have no idea what normal is going to be. So I've been able to work out. I've walked. My doctors, my neurologist said, "You'll never walk again. You're starting to drag your leg." And my mom bought me a cane, and well, I got rid of all that, and I'm walking 5 to 10 miles a day, and now I'm running. So,
wow.
You know what? I like to be in motion. When I'm in motion, I can think better. And so when I can think better, that clears the mind out. And you know what? Now my neurologist is going, "You don't have Parkinson's anymore. That's not possible." I said, "You know what? Anything's possible."
Yeah, that's amazing. And I was going to bring that up. I was kind of tinkering whether I should or not. You were diagnosed with Parkinson's. Now things, from the sound of it, sound very positive moving forward, Jim.
Absolutely. I had turned it down slowly. And when you get to read the book, you're going to understand chapter 10 is going to either blow people's socks off or it's going to make them furious and go, "Who believes in that stuff?" But I eventually turned off my deep brain stimulator, which was the electricity that sent dopamine, it mimicked dopamine in my brain.
Right.
I turned it off. And there was a message I got quite strongly to turn it off. I did. And I went back to the neurologist. She did a brain scan on me and made me do all these Parkinson's tests. My balance was great. I was standing on one toe and then the other toe on both feet. I could turn circles. I could touch my nose with my eyes closed and everything else. And the brain scan came back clean. And she goes, "You do not have Parkinson's anymore." And she goes, "I've been doing this for 15 years and that does not happen." And I said, "Well, I'm standing in front of you."
Holy cow. I mean, your life is legitimately filled with like miracles, because that is unbelievable. And that makes me feel really happy, because, you know, that's usually a diagnosis people panic about, and rightfully so. But I'm so happy you're in a better place now, my friend. That's such good news to hear.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been a blessing. I've got a daughter out in California, and she's doing a Bible school thing. She just graduated with Bethel, and she was talking to us the other day, and she's been reading the book, and she's like, "You know what? Can you give up some of the miracles so we can have some?"
And you, I don't want to get to it just yet. I want to end the interview talking about your book, because I'm right before chapter 9, which is maybe the most interesting chapter title I've ever read in my life. But we're going to get there eventually. We're going to get there. So, is just a couple things before I get to your life. Is baseball in big trouble, Jimmy? Is baseball going to this year? Are we going to have baseball again, you think?
I have not one clue, and I'll tell you this, and I talk about this in my speeches. Baseball has seen us through wars, depressions, recessions, civil unrest. When the men couldn't play, the women played. Baseball has seen us through our entire democracy, and now that question is up in the air. And if there's no baseball, there's no concessions, there's no tickets, there's no security, there's nothing, and there's no fans. And so I'm hoping they get back on the field pretty soon, at least filming it so we have something to do at home besides work out or eat banana bread. And I just want our sports back, and it doesn't matter if it's baseball. I love all sports, and I want to see everybody get back to their business. And I want to see all those great athletes getting after it. And we've just got a lot of big unknowns right now. And we get new information every day. It's different every day. And man, we just need to stop reading the news and let stuff happen. And baseball players want to get back on the field as much as the fans want them back on the field.
Yeah, and they made it work in South Korea. There's no reason why we can't make it work in, like you said, some way. And I totally agree with that. Another quick question for you. So I'm expecting my first child in August, Jim. And I know you're a father of 5. What piece of advice can you give me?
You think you're grown up and you're a big adult, and then God gives you a baby, and you find out that you have absolutely no clue about life. But they are the best and most beautiful things you'll ever have in your life. And you are so blessed. And I tell every new parent, don't blink, because they grow up and they're gone before you know it. And it's like a blink of an eye.
Yeah, that's really well said. Speaking of, your public speaking, you've brought it up on a few occasions now. Did you kind of have good roots with that, Jim, with your career as a teacher? Or do you feel like that laid a little bit of a foundation for you?
I think that laid a little bit of the foundation for me, because if you can keep high school kids' attention, you got something going on. And then during all the interviews that Dennis and I did together before, during, and after the movie came out, he helped me with a lot of stuff on how to treat the public sector. And so all of that's made me kind of adaptable and move on. And Dennis, his biggest piece of advice to me was one day, he goes, if you don't know the answer, just stick your tongue on the roof of your mouth and show them your teeth. Smile as big as you can. And you just do what you can do. And it's a dream I never, ever thought I would be doing. And now we're doing it virtually, which I never, ever thought I would do. And I hate to say this, but I actually miss traveling.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I got to say, he is I think he was meant to play you. I can't picture any other actor that could have played you. You guys have such a great rapport relationship. You guys almost like feed off each other. You're almost like the same person, but it's different, and he's just a perfect actor for that. Do you still have contact, Jim, with the kids you coached in high school?
I do. A few years ago, we started a foundation, Jim the Rookie Morris Foundation, and The first school we helped was in Fort Worth, and they didn't have baseball uniforms. They were in a district with a group of kids who had 8 uniforms, 9 hats, 10 gloves, 3,000 bats, and these kids didn't even have uniforms. And so I got some people to support me, including the head of James Avery Jewelers, and we helped retool their athletic program and gave them a weight room and gave them something to be proud of and gave them baseball back and softball back for girls. And it's so fun to now watch how successful they are. They were having a great year, and then the virus hit. And so, it changes everything. So, but those kids are so appreciative, and it's the middle of an area where they don't have any money, and a lot of kids don't even have a home. They go from home to home, just trying to figure out life, and they don't have a mom or they don't have a dad. And those are the kids we want to speak to, because if we can get those kids off the street and get them back on the sports field in a team concept forum, I think we're doing them a huge favor, because then we can open doors to dreams, and we can dream a lot. When you're on the streets, there's not a lot of dreaming going on.
No, that's really well said. And speaking of a blink of an eye, how is The Rookie almost 20 years old? Like, to me, that is just unfathomable. Like, I know it came out in 2002, so we're roughly at 20, but gosh, Jim, you talk about time flying. There's a perfect example of it.
You know what? I go, wow, we were just filming that. And then I walk by a mirror. And I'm like, oh, it has been 20 years. Okay. But things change. And I look back and I still have people. When my grandmother was still alive, she would call me. And every time I'd answer the phone, if I heard crying, I knew it was my grandmother and she was watching the movie again.
Oh, that's sweet. That is so sweet. And, I know you've said this before in interviews, because I listened to some of your other interviews. You've done some really fun stuff to watch. I know your favorite scene, because I know people ask you that a lot, is the scene where Dennis Quaid is talking to the team, and it took 13 hours to film, long scene because of the wind. Is there a scene that is getting better with age for you? So I'm kind of asking you a different spin on that. Is there a scene where if you watch it in 2020, you like it more now than you did, say, in 2002?
Yeah, and it didn't happen. The scene with Dennis throwing at the radar gun, and it's saying one thing and then walking by it and it's saying something else. I think that has aged well. It was put in the movie to help fans realize and watchers realize I had no idea how hard I threw till I actually went to the tryout. But I think it coincides with what we're going through right now. We see one thing on this side of the radar sign, and then there's something totally different on the other side. And we don't know what that is until we go after it.
No, that is so well said. And you know something? It's not that scene, because sometimes you see those scenes and they're really, really fabricated. And it's not that it wasn't, because you did legitimately throw 98 miles an hour. And I think that's what that scene was trying to show, is that, this recovery, your life is pretty much, it sounds like it's one miraculous recovery after the next, but that's exactly what it was. I mean, not many people can throw 98 miles an hour, and I think that's what that scene kind of brings out. Am I right with that, Jim?
It brings that out, and it alludes to, but doesn't talk about the fact. Earlier in the movie, Dennis said, I promised a lot of doctors I wouldn't throw. And what happened was at 28, I had a surgery in which they cut 85% of the deltoid muscle out of my shoulder and said, you will never, ever pitch again. It is physically impossible. And then so many years later, I come back with this team in West Texas, and when I pushed them, they pushed me. And then all of a sudden, I'm throwing 12 miles an hour harder with control and more pitches. I can actually I found a slider. I'm like, where did that come from? And so I'm throwing hard, and I'm throwing a slider. My fastball's moving everywhere. And so this radar gun on the side of the road, and it's actually funny, because I saw that sign, and I wasn't smart enough teaching science to realize if you got out and you actually did that, it could happen. And I went, oh, wow, I'm not as smart as I thought I was. Thank you, Mike Rich. But Dennis had a great time filming that scene, because it alludes to something greater that's coming.
Do you guys, and this is, I didn't have this plan to ask you this, but do you guys, like, once in a while text each other or send an email, communicate to each other? I mean, you guys seemed like it was just more, this was more than just about playing a role for, I feel like, him, and it was more about your life being told from your end. I feel like you guys developed a bit of a bond. Do you guys communicate still?
Absolutely. He wrote the foreword to the book. He's endorsing the book. I did a podcast with him that's going to come out sometime in June, right before the book comes out. And he said that when I tested on this thing and to do podcast, the most asked question I had was, will you interview Jim Morris so we can hear you guys banter back and forth? And so we got together and we did that. Well, we got together over the screen because we're not allowed together in real life. And he's just a great guy. We text each other. His mom passed away last year, and Sean and I went to the funeral. It was in Houston. And it means a lot to me because I'll tell you why. He played me in The Rookie. But in the movie, I Can Only Imagine, he played Bart Millard's dad, who was an abusive, verbally, physically, drinking guy. And so he basically played my dad in that movie. So he plays me in my movie, then he plays my dad in that movie. And then Bart comes out singing like he does, and I go, you know what? The only problem is I can't sing. But other than that, he played my dad.
and yeah, I have to say that you mentioned some of the scenes. You know, I think I love the diaper changing scene more. The more I see it, and I better like that scene. I think there's so much. I mean, the movie just has aged really. It just looks beautiful. The music is phenomenal. I love the entrance into the game, and I know I'm not going to talk much about this, but I know you talk often about this, about the relationship with your dad. Even Disney it looks rough in the movie, but it was much worse, I think, in real life. What's the best thing you could say about your dad, Jim? Because I know you guys had a tough time, and it's pretty much well known at this point. But what's the best thing you could say about him? Because I know you think the world of your grandparents. I have to say that as well. But what's the best thing you could say about your dad?
He gave me life.
Yeah.
And I learned how I didn't want to be from him. And so when life throws you lemons, you make lemonade. He was verbally and physically abusive. I've raised 5 kids, and I learned not to tell my kids they were sorry, blank, 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 and you'll never amount to blank, 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 and are hitting them or anything else. And you know what? My kids have grown up. They're successful. They're happy. And they've never been told they were worthless, and they've never been hit.
Isn't there a lot to be said for that, though, Jim? Like the fact that you took an almost horrendous situation and you spin that situation so it's a positive. You're feeding off of it. And now you have, and I believe you have grandchildren as well, just this beautiful extended family, and you took a rough situation and you kind of willed it into a situation that has produced positive results from it.
We can choose to live, or we can choose to fold our tents, go home, and die. And I don't care what life is going to throw at me, and it's thrown a lot at me. I'm going to show life, you know what? I've got faith, and my God is bigger than life, and we're going to go out, and we're going to do this, and we're going to get it done. It may not be the vision I have, but it's going to be a vision, and we're going to go out, and we're going to do this. And we as human beings, we think we're smarter and better than anything that could happen, even each other. And so we treat each other not well. And then a little bitty bug comes in and shuts everything down, and people are ready to quit. And I think that is a sad story to tell. Why not come up with a new idea? Why not come up with a new dream? Why not walk through another door? Why sit there and wallow in self-pity, eating Snickers bars and drinking Dr. Peppers when you can get up and be doing something, man? Get busy. Because if you're not moving, somebody else is passing you by.
So well said, Jim. Because, I mean, let's go back to our earlier part of our conversation about Parkinson's. I mean, many people could have gotten that diagnosis and been like, shit, it's over. But, like, that's not how you work. Like you said, people can't tell you can't. Like, that's not... You take things and you spin them so they work for you, not against you. And I love that about you, Jim. I think it's such a healthy mindset.
Well, thank you. But I'll tell you what, I've made a lot of mistakes. But you know what? We all do. and we all falter, and we all fail, and it's up to us to surround ourselves with those people we want around us to help us get back up, dust ourselves off, and get after it again. I've got a great wife. I've got a great group of kids. I've got a granddaughter now who's absolutely gorgeous, and she is giving my youngest son Fitz, which I absolutely love because he's kind of a smart aleck, and it's just a blast to see how in love that child is with her dad and her mom. And being able to see all that stuff makes all the other issues, the 50 surgeries, the opioids during all those surgeries, because if you have over 50 surgeries in 20 years, you're on opioids almost the entire time. And then, that doesn't work, I still hurt. And then you add alcohol to that, and then you end up in rehab. And rehab, you find out who you really are. And for the first time in my life, I got to sit and reset and recalculate the direction which I wanted my life to go. And am I going to give up, or am I going to fight? And I chose to fight.
Yeah, it's such a great mentality. And I got to say, I was rewatching the movie, and my last question on the movie, I forgot how many big names that 1999 Devil Race team had. Canseco, Boggs, McGriff. And I found something really cool on your Facebook page, which I did not know. Royce Clayton, and people that are listening will find this to be a great fact. Royce Clayton, your first Major League strikeout, played Miguel Tejada in Moneyball. I know a lot about movies, Jim. I did not know that.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yes, that is. When I read that, I'm like, this can't be. How did I miss this? Like, it's such an interesting set of events.
The other funny thing is Brad Pitt wanted to be me in the movie so bad, and some of the people didn't want him, and they wanted Dennis, which I think is a great choice. And then Brad ended up getting to do Moneyball, and he got to do his baseball movie anyway. So I think it worked out for everybody.
Wow, so I did not know that. Brad Pitt was considered for he really wanted that role, huh? He wanted to be Jimmy Morris.
Oh, there were a lot of people, man, because I met Jim Caviezel on an airplane on the way to New York. He was with his wife, and at first I didn't realize who he was because when I fly, I put headphones on and I read. And if I put headphones on, hopefully nobody will talk to me because I talk for a living. I want to be quiet. And so we're flying, and he comes up to me, taps me on the shoulder, and he goes, I almost got to play you. And so he blew us both up on the plane because everybody were like, oh, you're somebody. And then they looked at him and are like, you're a movie star. And I looked at him and I went, dude, you're way too pretty to play me. And he and his wife are beautiful people. And, 2 years later, he plays Jesus. And I go, man, I could have had Jesus play me.
That would have been fantastic. And you threw me off with that one. Yeah, that's a great one. So, let's talk about Dreammaker. So you mentioned the beautiful, I read the foreword. I'm actually through chapter 8. I'm going to talk to you about chapter 9 in a moment. It's a beautiful foreword by Dennis Quaid. He really poured his heart out into this foreword, Jimmy.
I was blown away when I got that back. And when you have children, you raise a family, and you got a wife you love dearly, there comes a point in your life where sometimes men start to cry about emotional stuff. And all these big, tough dudes, and you hand them a baby, or you say something nice to them, and they got tears. And that's me. When I got that forward back, I had tears in my eyes because I thought, wow, he put a lot of thought into that, and it means a whole lot to me.
Yeah, and sometimes you read these forwards, Jim, and it's like somebody just, it's kind of anybody to write a forward for, anybody's book, but sometimes they're definitely like mailed in or done so they're done. This was almost like I don't want to say love letter, but a letter from a really deep part of his soul. It was just a beautifully written forward. For those of you that are going to get Jim's book on June 23rd, Dreammakers, it definitely picks up where the rookie leaves off. So I'm right at 8. The title of Chapter 9 is Naked Jumping Jacks, the price of vodka and cranberry juice. What am I in for here?
You're in for rehab, buddy. And
I don't mean to laugh at your rehab, but it's a great title.
I laugh at it too. And I'll tell you, the third day I was out of rehab, I go to Minnesota to do a speech, I go back into the green room, and every bottle of liquor that could be there is there, and it's open, and people are going, hey, we've been drinking all day. Have whatever you want. Third day after rehab, and I'm like, obviously you don't know where I've been. But I go in to rehab, and I missed the entire week of Christmas of 2016. And I don't know what happened. I should have died. Basically, I OD'd, and I got my pills mixed up, and I took too many of one kind. It was after a surgery, and I'm drinking vodka. And the next thing I know, I'm on a plane to Dallas and then to Palm Beach, flying to Fort Lauderdale. This car picks us up, and my wife goes, you're going to rehab. And I'm like, all right, I trust you. I get in there, and she thinks she's going behind the doors with me, and they don't let her in. And they go, you're done. Goodbye. And they go through everything I brought with me. And the first thing they do is make me take my clothes off. Now, if you want a sobering moment, be over 50 years old and have to take your clothes off and do naked jumping jacks in front of 5 counselors who are staring at you to see if any drugs fall out. You are immediately sober. And that was the beginning of rehab.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that about your life. Like, if we were to have a part 2 here, Dream Makers is definitely that. What sparked it for you to do? I know one of the big reasons is surrounding yourself with the right and the best people. Is that a fair assessment, Jim? Am I describing that correctly?
Absolutely. Surround yourself with the best to be the best. And, some of us are stuck in jobs where we have people who are equal to us or above us, and they're just mean, disgusting people, and they want to see us fail. Call those people dream killers. But the dream makers are the people you want on your team. And the team, let me put this in baseball analogy. The team is just not the people on the field. It is the people on the bench. It is the coaches. It is the people who come to watch you play, because we represent as individuals a whole lot more than ourselves. We represent ourselves, our family name, our team name, our school, our city, our state, our country. We represent a lot. And if you're going to represent that and you're going to be in charge of that stuff, then you need to have the best people around you. And even the people who go, oh, you need to do this, and you don't need to do your homework, or you don't need to finish that job, and let's go out and have a drink, and let's go have fun, and let's miss this and let's miss that. Those are the people who need to go away. The people you want on your team are the people who are going to push you to be better, and they're going to push you constantly. And that's why you surround yourself with people who are as smart or smarter than you, because they're going to lift you up to a higher place. When I was an athlete, I didn't play with guys that I could crush all the time. When I played basketball, I didn't look for the weakest guy on the court so I could go out and pound him. I look for the best guys, because that's how you get better. When you compete against the best, you become the best. And that's surrounding yourself with the best.
No, I love that, Jimmy. I love that about your mentality, about the book itself. I have to say, I look back at my own life, and I wish as a kid, as a teenager, even my 20s, if I was the man I was today, I wish I had the courage to do exactly what you're saying, surrounding yourself with the right people, not those mean, disgusting people, because a lot of the friends I had growing up, I feel like were those people. They didn't really care about you. It was just kind of like a lot of what you say, those mean, disgusting people that wish bad things about you, even some adults in that regard too, growing up. So it has so much credibility and value to what you're saying. You do want to surround yourself with the right people. It makes so much sense in life.
Absolutely. And you know what? It starts at home. When your home life is on an even keel and you respect the person that you're with or the person that you're married to, and you're raising your kids the right way and everything's going well, it makes chasing your dream or doing your job easier, because your foundation is set and you know that is concrete. And if anything goes wrong out in the world, you can come back to a safe place and have your team with you. And so it starts at home.
No, that's beautifully said. Jim, what was your favorite chapter to write? Because I know when you write a book like you did, the book's called Dream Makers. You what's your favorite? When you go back in time, you're examining your life. You're looking back at your life. I feel like it's a cheesy way to ask that question, but yeah, what was your favorite chapter, if there was such a thing?
chapter you're fixing to go into.
Oh, cool. Very cool. I'm excited to.
It was also the hardest one.
Yeah, and for good reason, obviously. When you look back at your life, we know why it was difficult. When you look back at that moment of time, because I feel like a lot of people, Jim, won't know this about you, and that's the whole purpose of a book, I suppose. But that's to me, to have the guts to put this on page screams volumes about who you are.
I want to help people, and I want to give back. And if I can help people get out of a situation that they're in, or if I can even hopefully prevent people from going into that situation, then I hope it helps a whole lot of people. My job is to give back, and if my story can help other people, then that's what I want. It was fun to write. It was difficult to write. We cried, we laughed, we giggled. I wanted to throw up. And at the end of the day, we got a great book out of it, and I wanted it in the voice that I use when I'm on stage speaking to a group of people, and I think Mark Sturtz did a great job of that.
Yeah, I'm through 8 chapters. I love it. And for those of you that Jim is talking about his public speaking, which you can find anywhere, YouTube, he's such a phenomenal public speaker. Jim, before I let you go, social media information, the book comes out June 23rd, as we said. Is there anything else you want to get out there?
You know what? If they go to dreammakersbook.com, they can get a signed copy and a 30% discount. And you know what? Get it, and maybe you want it. And I will tell you this, if you get it for your kids, just understand there are a few words in there, but those are words my father used on me when I was a kid, and those are the words we need not to use around our kids. And so I put them in there on purpose because I want it to be a statement, and I want it to hit hard, and I want to make people think.
He is remarkable. He is the rookie, Jim Morris. Jim, thanks for coming back on the show again. We have to make it a third time down the road.
Absolutely, man. You keep it going.